Head to your yoga mat. We'll start laying down. So get comfy. Grab an extra pillow or blanket if you prefer. Something underneath your head or your knees, underneath your knees. You can choose Shavasana today with your arms and legs extending, taking up just as much space as you feel like. If that feels a little crunchy or tight on the low back, maybe bending your knees and standing your feet up at the edges of your mat. Tuck your tailbone under and let your knees rest together at the center. This is constructive rest pose. If there's any other ways of being here that your body is asking you for, go ahead and experiment and follow those curiosities until you find a somewhat restful place. And when you arrive there, take a few moments to notice how things are for you. Just see what bubbles up to the surface, if anything. And if you decided to close your eyes just for a moment, let's open our eyes and just allow your gaze to float around the room, looking in all different directions, all through the periphery of your vision, all the edges of your space. Just do it really, really slow. This is a good way to signal to the body that as long as you're not seeing any dangerous things in your surrounding, it triggers our parasympathetic nervous system, just proving to ourselves that we're in a safe environment, no immediate threats, I hope. And as you continue to look around a little bit, see if you can, at the same time, sense any responses from your body. Sometimes for me, when I start looking around, I just automatically start tensing up and like less of my body is connecting to the floor because I'm kind of tensing. So for me, I purposely have to like start with the body, then add in the extra stuff. See if you can get to a really sleepy body sensation, if that feels right. You're welcome to keep your eyes open if you'd like, or close them on down and enjoy these next few moments as we continue to center and tune in to this practice today. Start to notice the flow of your breath even more, expanding not only the breath, but your awareness of the breath flowing. Checking to see if it's available to breathe just through your nose today, and if so, sealing your lips, placing your tongue up on the roof of your mouth, biting surfaces of your teeth just slightly parted. This is called proper oral posture for nasal breathing. And noticing or imagining that your nasal passageways are getting clearer and wider. So each breath becomes easier and easier in and out through the nose. Trying to breathe all the way down to the pelvic bowl or to the sacrum area. Seeing if that allows you to connect more fully with the flow of your breath. If you would like to set a dedication or intention for your practice today, feel free to bring something or someone to mind now. And let's see about trying 3 rounds of bumblebee breath. We'll take the easy variations. You can just leave your hands wherever they are. This will simply be an inhale through the nose and then a hum with your exhale. So as you're humming, you'll notice that you'll be able to exhale even longer than normal because of the vibration and friction that slows down your exhale. And as you do, just let yourself be kind of submerged in the vibrations and sound, and notice if there's any response from your mind or body as we go. So when you're ready, inhale through your nose and hum it out. Going completely at your own pace, 3 rounds, just like that. Big inhale through your nose. And a hum. Take your time, but whenever you've completed those rounds, just rest in the reverberations of that sound. Brahmari, pranayama, bumblebee breath. I find it to be very helpful to release anger or anxiety for me. When you're ready, just begin by wiggling your fingers and toes gently, re-entering the world of movement. Maybe let your head rock from side to side. Let's circle ankles and wrists, wiggling fingers and toes even more. And eventually working your way into a long body stretch with your arms and legs straight and reaching in opposite directions, lengthening. And we'll head into banana pose next. So walking your heels over toward the right edge of your mat. Let's grab hold of the left wrist or arm and gently pull your upper body toward the right as well. So you create this nice side bend banana shape, stretching and lengthening through that left side. See if you can become aware of the air in that left lung. Maybe you can pretend or sense that you're breathing just into that left lung to help you feel a nice opening through that left side. When you feel ready to switch sides, go ahead and walk your heels toward the left edge of your mat. Grab hold of your right wrist this time and direct the upper body over to the left, creating length and bend through that right side, breathing more into that right lung, stretching those little intercostal muscles between the ribs, the obliques as well. And when it feels about equal, come on back to the center. Let's hug our knees in toward the chest, grabbing hold of your knees or shins. Just take a little bit of free movement here, rocking some weight around your low back and the sacrum. And let your knees go a little farther away from your chest, circling your knees together or separately. Freestyle. Okay. We're gonna head up to a seat next. Feel free to rock and roll a couple times up and down your back if that feels good to you. Otherwise, turning to either side to the fetal position and then pressing your way up will do. Come to a comfortable seated position. And tent your fingertips off to either side, lengthening upward through the crown of your head. Maybe closing your eyes if you like here, just to feel this lift from an internal perspective, crown of the head, lifting high. With an inhale, let's flip the palms and slowly reach the palms together up and overhead. Option to look up toward your hands as they join. And exhale, lower your hands down to heart center, tucking your chin when you get there. Inhale, hands go high, gaze could follow. Exhale, sweep your arms around and down, fingertips finding the floor again. Let's do it a couple more times, inhaling as you rise. Exhaling, hands down to heart center. Inhale, hands go high. And exhale, lower. Let's take a little easy forward fold over our crossed legs here. So just reaching your hands forward and thinking about, instead of rounding forward right away, let's kind of puff the chest up here and see if we can create a little bit of a hinge at the hips sensation. You might feel it a little bit more through the hips and the outer muscles of the hips there. Kind of leading with your heart, with the chest first. And then if you want, you could round forward over your legs. You can always use your blocks underneath the arms if you want some support. And then breathe into the mid and low back. One more breath here. Oh, let's do one more. This feels so good. And then in your own timing, slowly rising back up. Plant your hands behind your back. Not too important which way your fingertips face. They could face toward your body or to the sides or away from your body, whatever feels okay for your body. And then puff your chest up, gazing up, feeling your shoulder blades kind of hugging together behind your back. And you might rock slightly side to side here through the shoulders, opening the center of the chest, through the collarbones. And then tuck your chin and come back up. Switch the cross of your legs. So whichever leg was in back now comes to the front. And we'll do that again. So just slowly folding, or first hinging forward at your hips, keeping a lift of your chest and just noticing if that feels like the place you want to stay today. Or you can always start rounding forward if you like. And then breathing into the mid and low back. Just 2 more breaths here. And rising back up when the time is right for you. This time, let's straighten the legs and then place the hands behind. Go ahead and puff up the chest, leaning back, hugging your shoulder blades together. Maybe rocking slightly side to side through the shoulders. And then tucking your chin, rise back up. Let's sweep the legs around and back, coming to tabletop position for cat and cow. If you're on a hard surface, maybe grabbing a cushion for underneath your knees. Even if you're not on a hard surface, it's just like a little treat. More comfort if you want. So hands more or less below the shoulders, knees more or less beneath the hips. With your inhale, starting to lower your belly, lifting your tailbone and your gaze. Cow pose. Exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, push the floor away. This is our cat pose. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Go ahead and flow with your own breath now, exploring cat and cow and any other little add-ons that feel interesting to you, maybe a bend of the elbows or a little twist or turn in any other way. You have permission to play a little bit if you feel called. And if you ever discover a really fun variation that we don't usually do in class, I would love to hear about it. And eventually finding your way to extended child's pose, bringing your knees out wide toward the edges of your mat, big toes touch behind you. Feel free to sink your hips just a little bit toward your heels, maybe rising back up a couple times, getting the knees used to bending a little deeper today. You could stay lifted if your knees don't like that, or come down to your forearms. Or walk your hands toward the top of your mat and then sink your head and heart toward the floor. Whenever you do arrive in a variation that suits you, let's try some belly breathing. So drawing the air down, down, down to the lowest parts of your lungs. Let your belly expand. Take up all the space that you can with your inhales. And with your exhales, letting something go, letting something soften. Call to mind your intention if you set one today. Feel free to stay right here or start to tent your fingertips up, kind of reaching through your shoulders, up on the fingertips. You could crawl the fingertips toward the top of your mat slightly. You could also shift side to side through the chest and the shoulders a little bit. And then start to rise back up to tabletop. If you have blocks and you like to use them, let's grab those and find our first downward facing dog. Blocks up at the top of your mat. Blocks or not though, fingertips will be spread out. Active arms, active hands here. Lifting the tailbone, straightening or almost straightening your legs. Press your hands into your blocks so much the shoulders start to reach, biceps close to your ears. Find your breath and commit to the flow of your breath here first. And then if you'd like to add movement, maybe bending and straightening opposite knees. Maybe coming up to the tippy toes and then lowering your heels a couple times, just finding some movement that feels good and expansive. All right. As you're ready, let's bend the knees and look up toward your hands, and then step or walk your way to the top for a little moment of ragdoll forward fold. Feet could be hip width distance apart or even a little wider, letting the upper body be kind of loose here. You might grab opposite elbows, enjoying some stillness or some swaying, or just let your arms kind of dangle here. If it doesn't feel nice to be kind of upside down, you can always come to a halfway lift position with your hands on blocks or your shins or your thighs, and still get a really nice stretch through the back of your legs, your hamstrings. If you decided to grab opposite elbows, go ahead and switch your grip, releasing, and then bringing your other forearm on top. Take a moment to nod your head yes and shake your head no, letting gravity help you create some space in the neck and in the spine. All right, release your arms, bend even deeper through your knees, tuck your chin toward your chest, and then walk your hands up your legs, slowly coming up to stand. Eventually at the top, let's start a little bit of a shaking, bouncing moment here. So maybe starting by lifting and lowering your heels, letting the heels kind of drop enough that you feel the tissues of your body just kind of moving a little bit. You could get your arms going with it here, or take it in a whole nother direction, shaking each limb individually. Just follow what your body wants. Try not to question it. Just keep on shaking and moving, bouncing, dancing, whatever feels good. Getting the circulation going and helping our bodies as we are standing here for the first time in this class. All right. Whenever you've had enough, find your way up to the top of your mat. Take a look at your feet. Want them to be a comfortable distance apart from each other. Picking up all your toes, spread them out and just hold them there for a second if you can. For some reason, spreading out your fingers, I think helps a lot to do that with your toes. And then lower them down. Nice firm foundation here. Notice your legs. Bring your awareness up the spine. Flip the palms to face the front of your space here. And if you want, maybe closing your eyes just to feel this mountain pose, Tadasana. Noticing if there's a part of you that feels sturdy and mountainous in any way. And opening the eyes if you're ready. With an inhale, let's rise up to the tippy toes. So leaning forward slightly, bringing the heels up, engaging the legs, the arches, and then lowering back down with an exhale. Let's do it a couple more times. We have the option to add on a lift of the arms. So with your inhale, rising up to the tippy toes, maybe hands rise as well. And then exhale, lower. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, rise up. Let's stay lifted if you can for the exhale. Inhale and exhale. Let's go one more breath in. And then exhale, lower down. Go ahead and shake out your legs a little bit if you like. And then we'll get into our always yoga flow today. So we will start here by shifting the weight to the left leg. Start to find one-legged mountain pose with your right toes lifting, or your right knee lifting. Your toes could stay down on the floor here, or on top of a block or two, or maybe flexing that right foot and lifting your knee to about hip height. You might stay right here if this feels like enough of a challenge. If you want a little bit more or a lot more here, let's inhale and lift the arms up high. Exhale, open arm twist toward the right, nice and slow, maybe grabbing on to your right knee. Inhale and come back to center. Exhale, straighten that right leg. Inhale here. And exhale, airplane pose. So that right leg sweeps back, arms start to sweep back as well. Your toes could find the floor right away here, or leaning forward, lingering in your airplane for a second longer, and then eventually stepping your right foot down to the back of your mat. Inhale, arms reach high. Exhale, lower the right knee all the way down to the mat. Breathe like normal here. We're going to experiment with leaning back slightly. See if you can lift your left foot up off of the floor, even for a second. Quite a difficult balance challenge here. And then step your left foot back down when you've had enough of that. Hands lower down to your blocks. Curl your right toes under, pick up your right knee, and then send your left leg high to three-legged down dog. Big breath in, sigh it out. One more breath in, and exhale, bend that left knee, step just the left leg forward, giving it a little help if you need some help there. With an inhale, let's rise up to arrow pose. So we're sweeping the arms down and back, kind of like airplane, but both feet are grounded. Shoulder blades hugging together behind you. In your own timing now, see if you can transition up to one-legged mountain pose. So we're stepping the right leg forward and lifting, if possible. With an inhale, lifting both arms high. Stay here, or one more open arm twist toward the right. Inhale, come back up to center. And exhale, lower everything down. Bringing hands to heart center. Take a couple of moments with yourself here, cultivating that centered space that's it's always just a couple breaths, always just a couple moments away or beneath all the extra stuff on top, all the daily life stuff. So spending a few minutes breathing with your heart center, clearing some of that gunk away. Let's take one round of clearing breath followed by one round of Brahmari pranayama or bumblebee breath. So when you're ready, let's inhale through the nose, sigh through the mouth, in through the nose, and hum it out. Come back to a steady pace of breath. Slowly opening the eyes, letting your hands come down if you want. And we'll start to find one-legged mountain pose on the left leg now. So shift your weight over to the right leg. Hands could be out to the side or up at heart center, wherever makes sense to you. We've come up to that left tippy toe here or up to a block. It's kind of nice. If you're having a harder balance day, it's kind of really nice to stack a couple blocks up and have your foot up on the stack of blocks. Just makes things way more fun to play with. So that's always an option. Otherwise, we can flex that left foot and bring your knee up to about hip height. With an inhale, sweep your arms high. Staying right here is a great option. If you're open to the twist, let's exhale, open arm twist to the left. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, straighten your left leg. Inhale. Exhale, airplane pose. Sweeping the left leg back, the arms sweep back. You can hover here for a few moments or head right back, planting your left foot down on the floor. Inhale, sweep your arms high. Exhale, bend both knees, lowering your left knee all the way down to the floor. Breathe like normal as you play for a few moments with lifting this right leg up. So we're gonna lean back slightly, really get your balance, and then see if you can lift that right foot up a little bit. You can just work with it for a couple seconds here, focusing, playing. No big deal if it's not working for you today. Whew, that's a good one. Lowering your hands down on the blocks. Curl your left toes under, pick up your left knee, and with a nice big step back, send your right leg high to one-legged or three-legged down dog. Right toes high. Take a look back at your toes. Make sure your toes are facing the floor. Let's have one more nice big breath in. And exhale, step just the right foot forward. Give it a little help if it needs help. We'll rise up to arrow pose next. So legs stay the same, arms reach back, kind of like airplane arms. When you're ready, make your transition up to the top of your mat, one-legged mountain pose with your left knee lifting. And exhale, step your foot back down. Breathe like normal as you bring hands to heart center, checking back in, checking for anything, any kind of that dust or gunk that gets in the way of feeling that little pocket of connection and peace. It's underneath all that gunk. It's kind of like how even on the rainiest, cloudiest days, the sun is still behind the clouds. And when you're ready, let's take one clearing breath followed by one more round of that humming bumblebee breath. When you're ready, inhale through your nose, side out. Inhale, and give it a hum. Coming back to a steady pace of breath. And opening your eyes when you're ready, if they were closed. Let's find our way right down to a squat next. So if you know the kind of squat you like, go ahead and get right into it. If you want some inspiration, I'll go through a couple different possibilities here. I like to set myself up with a little seat here. I like to use both blocks. Sometimes even like putting a blanket over can be nice too. So bringing your feet out a little wider than normal, toes facing out, heels inward. You can just bring your hands to your knees here and play around with a squat up top here, especially if you have any knee pain or knee issues that if your knees don't like to go deeper, that's fine. This is a good one. If you want to go deeper, maybe sitting all the way down onto your little stool or not. Pressing your elbows into the inner edges of the knees. Just try to puff your chest up here, creating as much of a neutral spine as we can. Find an unmoving focal point, a drishti, to gaze right at. Let's take about 3 more breaths. And know that if you want to exit this pose early, just come on down to a seat anytime. Just about 1 more breath. You can always stay longer if it's one of those days. And when you're ready, let's come on down to the floor. Take a seat. Let your legs go long in front of you. And we'll head down to your back. You can make it a little challenge if you want, slowly lowering down, rounding the spine as you lower. If you connect to that kind of sensation or visualization of lowering 1 vertebrae at a time, maybe that's where you head today. If it's not your jam, just go ahead and get all the way down to the floor as quick as you'd like. And once you do find the floor, go ahead and release any holding or gripping through your entire body. Just greet the floor. Maybe a sigh. If you're ready for Shavasana right now, go ahead and just stay. That's fine. Otherwise, we're going to do a little bit more just stretchy stuff here at the end. So if you still want to go with that, let's bend both knees, coming to a bridge-like position. We'll place the hands down next to the hips here. Tuck your shoulder blades under. And then notice your low back here, your low and mid back. If it's arched up off of the mat, which mine definitely is right now, go ahead and tuck your tailbone under and see if you can flatten your low back down to the floor. You kind of activate your glutes a little bit here and press through your feet. Connect to the upper shoulders here as well. And then inhale to lift the pelvis, reaching your hip points high. Tuck your chin when you get to the top. Let's stay here for a couple of breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Option to stay right here, or with your inhale, rise up to your tippy toes. With your exhale, lower your heels, keeping our lift. With your inhale, let's lift to the toes this time, coming up to the heels. And exhale to lower. Let's do that 1 more time. Inhale, heels lift, tippy toes. Exhale, heels lower. Last one, inhale, toes lift. And then exhale, lower the feet, lower your pelvis. Hug your knees in toward your chest. And once again, find some free movement, freestyle movement, rocking and rolling a little bit of weight around your low back, around the sacrum. You can kind of get into the glutes and the hips a little bit here too if you turn slightly to each side. And then bringing your feet down to the floor. Your arms could come out to either side for support. Press your right foot down a lot as you start to lift and straighten or almost straighten your left leg. You can always hold on to your thigh if that helps your experience. Let's rotate out the left ankle. Remembering that just movement through each joint is super good, promoting the flow of synovial fluid. So even just a simple rolling out of your feet, your ankles, can be a nice form of care. All right, and then cross your left ankle just behind your right knee, figure 4 here. Maybe pressing your left hand into your left knee. If you want to reach to grab or reach to interlace your fingers behind your right thigh, feel free to, as long as the sacrum and your shoulder blades can stay comfortably connected to the floor. You don't want to create a really rigid experience here. So another great option, which is kind of a happy medium, is to grab your blocks and stack them one on top of the other so that your right foot can have a little perch. That can be kind of a nice happy medium, like I said. And maybe letting your knees kind of rock side to side a little bit. You can flex your feet, flex your ankles, and then point a couple times or circle. You do you. Figure 4. And then we'll set the right foot back down if it was lifted. Let's bring our arms out wide. We're going to still stay in our figure 4 position here and we're going to find a twist with it. So let's scoot the pelvis over toward the left edge of your mat and then allow your figure 4 legs to twist over toward the right. And if it feels like too much, you could always uncross your knees and stack one leg on top of the other, or build yourself some support with your props or blankets underneath your knees. You might let your head slowly roll one side to the other, or rest in stillness. Sometimes it can be fun to add on a bind here. It's not a super accessible type of bind, but let's just see if it works. So we can use the peace fingers, the pointer and the middle finger of the right hand. Reach down and grab for your left toe. So hopefully that toe is on top. There's one bind, you can just stay here, or you can reach down and grab hold of your left hand on your right foot. And then it's kind of, I think it's called like grabbing your tail, or like, I forgot what this bind is, but option to do just one of the hands, one of the binds, or both. You could choose to give it a whirl for a couple seconds and then let it go, or just keep enjoying your figure 4 twist as is. Go ahead and begin to release. Bring the legs back up to center, scoot back to the middle of your mat. And then once again, lift and straighten or almost straighten your left leg. And then bend the left knee, set it back down. Take a moment with both feet on the ground, just see how things are. And then we'll switch sides, pressing the left foot down, start to lift and straighten or almost straighten the right leg. Always the option to grab hold behind your thigh as you rotate out your right ankle, wiggling your toes, moving that ankle in all directions. Kind of a double whammy when we're moving the joint with our legs up like this. It's also good for our circulation. Having your feet up, like in legs up the wall, or this can help with swelling of your feet or ankles. And then when you're ready, let's find figure 4, bending your right knee and placing the right ankle behind or on top of that right or left thigh rather. You might stay here for a few breaths, maybe trying out that push of the right knee, right hand pushing into the right knee. Maybe stacking up your blocks so your left foot has a little perch, or reaching to interlace your fingers behind that left thigh. Again, making sure that your sacrum and your shoulder blades can comfortably rest on the floor so we don't create extra tension. And there's no need to try too hard. Maybe rocking your figure four legs a little bit side to side. Maybe circling out your ankles more. And then we'll move into our twist. So scooting the pelvis over toward the right edge of the mat. Let's start to lower the knees or the figure four legs here over toward the left. Maybe letting your head rock side to side. Anytime that you want to explore any of those binds from before, we can use the peace fingers again, pointer and middle finger, left hand grabbing onto the right big toe, right hand, if you can reach the other foot behind you, grabbing your tail. And it's not uncommon for one side to feel good and the other side to maybe not have it as accessible. So there's never a need to go too far. Eventually releasing your grip, coming back up to center, scooting your pelvis back in, and then straightening that right leg back up for a moment, and then setting it back down. Go ahead and take any last movements, poses, or stretches that you're needing or wanting before your final rest. And whenever you are ready, make your way into a comfortable and enjoyable place to rest. Of course, could be Shavasana, the classic pose, corpse pose for the end of our classes. You could always head up to a wall and do legs up the wall, or legs up on a chair with your knees bent if you're close to a couch or an ottoman or something. Constructive rest, there's so many great options. So explore a little bit and then settle on in to a comfortable place. Noticing the muscles around your eyes, smoothing out your forehead, creating a little more space between the eyebrows, unclenching your jaw, relaxing the root of your tongue, letting this sense of softening and restfulness continue to spiral out to the rest of your body, the physical body, the emotional body, your energetic self. Wishing all parts and pieces of your being just a few moments here of relief. Becoming aware of any tendencies of gripping or holding tension anywhere, and just see when or if things start to creep back in. And then softening, choosing this route of softness and sweetness. just for a few more minutes. Noticing and softening. Noticing and softening. And know that you are welcome to stay here and continue your rest. There's no need to listen to the rest of this class or closing if you choose to stay. Whenever you are ready to begin the reawakening process, maybe starting with wiggling your fingers and toes, maybe yawning or swallowing, possibly heading into some kind of shape like a full body stretch, long body stretch. Eventually choosing a side and then finding the fetal position, rolling. Again, either side will do, tucking the knees in slightly, maybe using your bottom arm as a pillow. Try to take one full round of breath here, trying not to rush if possible. At the very bottom of that exhale, go ahead and press your way up using the help of your hands. Come on up to a comfortable seat. We'll join hands at heart center, maybe closing the eyes or just gazing softly around your space. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and be free. And may our own thoughts, words, and actions somehow contribute to that happiness and freedom for all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bringing thumbs up to third eye center. Let's seal our class in together with a little gesture of gratitude. Let's take a bow forward together now. Peace.